Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us at In the Know. We're catching up with some of your favorite celebs, reality TV stars, and more direct from their homes. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and today we're joined by Nina Parker, co-host of E's Nightly Pop. Nina and I chatted about her journey to where she is now, having just celebrated Nightly Pop's 200th episode. We also touched upon how she's using her platform to call for racial justice, including hosting Bravo's recent Race in America special, as well as her thoughts on some of the hot-button celeb topics of the moment. Keep listening for my full interview with Nina. Nina, how are you doing today?
Oh, living the dream.
As one does. How are you just holding up day to day? Because there's a lot going on these days. I know that, I follow you on social media, so you do air out your thoughts there. But I'm just curious, sort of, how are you today and how amid everything?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm busy. So I film Nightly Pop daily. And then, have a ton of meetings and things like that. So just kind of navigating my schedule, just like all of us. And I think, because sometimes we do things from home, our schedules get more packed than they would have been before. But it's good. It's a good busy.
Good. So right off the bat, I do have to congratulate you. 200 episodes of Nightly Pop that happened this week. That's major. That's a huge milestone.
Yeah, no, I can't believe it happened so quickly. So they were
right.
like, hey, we're coming up on 200. And we were like, already? So, it's good. It's a blessing. We're really excited. And the people who watch our show really love our show and the way we interact together. So it's been really dope. It's been a very great experience. I hope we get 2, 3, 4, 500 more.
Because I feel like part of the reason why Nightly Pop has been such a success is that you and Hunter and Morgan have such a great dynamic, and you kind of all just feed off of each other, I feel like, and somehow you've been able to do it from home while not in the same place as one another. Do you feel as if it's partly because of just like the dynamic that you guys have that people just love so much?
Yeah, we kind of just got along. I mean, I met Morgan first when I, first started at E. We were working on Daily Pop together, and Nightly Pop didn't exist yet. And so she and I, developed a rapport pretty early on, pretty much a kinship really quickly. And so when we were doing Nightly Pop and testing, we tested with Hunter and he was just the best fit. So, it really wasn't any work. It's obviously work when you're incorporating a work ethic and things like that. But as far as our chemistry, it's kind of just always been that.
One of the breakout moments, I think, from the 200th episode was the Dr. Phil roasting Morgan, future daughter-in-law, future mother of his grandchild. What was it like to kind of watch that moment? Because I've seen it kind of making the rounds today.
No, it was cool. They kind of held it as a surprise. So we knew he was going to be involved in some capacity, but Hunter and Morgan was more in on it than we were. So we weren't really sure what he was going to say. So, when you saw our reactions on the show, that was, our organic first time reactions hearing it. So it was really cool. Obviously he's iconic in the talk show space. So to have him a part of our show, I feel like is a blessing and like a, good omen. So we were happy to have him be a part. And, I feel like the people who are so iconic are the ones that are just the most down to earth. So the fact that he was happy to participate, that he watches our show, it was a huge compliment.
Totally. You have these moments that break out and, it's been 200 episodes. You can't believe it's been such a quick rise for the show. Do you remember what you felt in episode 1? Like, do you remember what your mindset was before the show started? Because surely this has helped to raise your profile and it's led to other opportunities for you. I don't know, just I'm curious if you can think back to what was going on in Nina's mind in episode 1.
I'm always thinking ahead, so I'm rarely in the moment. I have a hard time enjoying my moments because I'm always thinking about what's next or how to work on things. So in my mind, I probably was producing. They often tell me to stop producing as much because I'm always like, things need to be this way. I'm a perfectionist that way. And I was initially a producer before I was an on-air host. So I think it just always reverts back to that in my mind. But I know I was extremely excited and, this was a new experience for all of us. And late night was a space I hadn't been in yet. I've been doing entertainment news for quite some years with major networks, but this was the first time I had done nighttime a nighttime show. So I was really excited because it was freeing. And I was able to say some of the things I've always wanted to say. And so I was really excited.
Is that what really differentiates it for you? Is it the fact that you can be like a little raunchier, a little edgier, a little bit just
Yeah.
like more off the cuff? I mean, because I think that to me, that's why I love watching it.
Yeah, I think, sometimes when you deal with entertainment news, sometimes it can be stale. Sometimes it can be the same thing over and over and over again. And what I love that lets us do is just kind of be ourselves. And, we don't get a ton of notes. It's just kind of like how you feel. And, we kind of just go off of the cuff. But being able to be candid and say how we really feel and curse and that kind of stuff, it's fun, especially when in the past, you're told not to do so many things. So it definitely feels good to have a green light.
Totally. And you said you have the producer's mindset. You're always thinking about what's ahead. What's on your mind these days?
I'm one of those people until things are signed, sealed, and delivered. I like to just keep my mouth shut. I'm very much, not a person that is posting like every single move.
Got it. And so we're keeping it tight-lipped right now.
Yes.
So I mean, and obviously
working on a lot.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, I saw you post about this. I saw the Shade Room post about this, and obviously, Ellen is remaining where she is. But when the Replace Ellen thing was happening on social media, and you were one of the big names that was thrown out there, it must still be flattering to know that you have these legions of fans and people that would love to see you potentially have your own show down the road.
It was so crazy because I actually just moved into a new house on the 1st. And so when all of this happened, I had taken a few days off to actually not working. And so I think I woke up and my mentions were just insane. And I was like, what is going on? And, it was because the Shade Room had posted this, but not only did they post it, but a lot of people picked it up. And I think it crashed my phone because my phone died that day. I had to get a new phone. Like my phone just was like, okay, I'm done.
Oh my God.
But it was that many people in my mentions, but it was, obviously I knew Ellen wasn't going anywhere. I knew her show was not going to go anywhere. So to me, it was all in good fun. But to see me have my own platform is extremely flattering, because I used to get in trouble for talking too much in school. And for many, many years, I felt like my opinion in the entertainment space wasn't necessarily valued. And so now to feel like people are warming up to me or valuing my opinion is incredibly flattering. And I feel like we've made so many strides. And so I, really appreciate that.
Why are there examples of why you didn't feel like your voice was valued in this space, or like
I'm a Black woman?
Yeah.
I mean,
but was that like, were you, do you feel like you were turned away from things because of that? Like what was as during your come up? Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, when you're an opinionated Black woman, you feel an extreme amount of challenges. And there were times where I would be on a set debating an issue with a white counterpart, and people would be like, oh my gosh, she's so aggressive. And it's like, we're debating and they're saying the same thing. And so there was a lot of projection, I feel like, onto me. And I feel like a lot of women in general feel like if they're opinionated, they're labeled something. But, when you're also a Black woman, I feel like there's that double label onto you. And I think especially when entertainment news was more one thing, where it was just, glitz and glamour, and it really just very monotone, and it wasn't a lot of opinions infused. People really had a hard time accepting me being so opinionated because it was just the way I am. And I feel like I definitely lost out on some opportunities, but ultimately losing out on those opportunities led me where I'm at right now. And so I tried not to look at those negatives as rejection. I looked at them as protection. It just wasn't the space I was meant to be in. And instead of sinking into it and feeling like I have to be something else, I decided that I just wasn't going to be for everybody. And who I was going to be for would get the message. And I wasn't going to try to change who I was to appeal to people who were committed to misunderstanding me.
Yeah, I really love to hear that, because I feel like if, let's say you had to like kind of gone into one of these opportunities, that your voice would have been stifled and you wouldn't have been able to be Nina Parker. And I love that, you have found this home with Nightly Pop and just E in general to be Nina Parker. And I think, like, again, like you said, like people are really like falling and have fallen in love with you. So I think it's really, you must feel like pretty comforted by that,
Yeah, it's good. And, I try to appreciate it. But, Melanie Bromley, who works at E with me, said something that really stuck with me a couple of years ago. And she's like, you can't believe all of the love and you can't believe all of the hate. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
kind of staying in that middle ground, because if you believe all the love and it flips on you, you say something wrong or something happens, you're completely devastated. So I try to keep that middle ground to kind of, not get too crazy, because it does, you love the love and it
Oh
feels good.
yeah, we've seen examples of what happens when people get kind of drunk on that love. They get
Yes,
high off of
yes,
it, and then it's
right,
like there's a downfall. And so yeah, I think
right. So I
that's a
try to
great
stay in the
mentality to
middle.
have. Yeah, that's a great
There's some
mentality to
people
have.
around that keep me checked, because, I'm like, girl, they talking about me. And I have friends who are like, anyway, go ahead and finish unpacking these boxes, girl.
You have to have people to check you too. That is such a like a number
Right.
one thing. I have been looking forward to your special on Bravo, Race in America, not a movement, movement, not a moment. And when they announced that, I was so proud of everyone involved and the network, because I'm a huge Bravo fan. And I thought that like there were all these conversations happening on social media, and there was such a call for it to make it to Bravo, like make it
Right.
to the network air. And so at first, I mean, before we get into that, like I just love to hear about like how did it feel to be chosen to be the person hosting that, and kind of, because that was a big gig. That was a really high profile thing they did. And I'd love to hear about how it just felt to be a part of it.
I mean, it felt good. I mean, I've done specials with major networks before. Obviously, this was really the first thing that I had done rooted around race relations, which before most of it had been news or entertainment news, but nothing, as just really intricate as, how race is affecting Black people in America. So, they saw a lot of my coverage that I had done with me expressing how I felt. And they felt like I would be the perfect person to navigate that conversation. And I was familiar with a lot of the talent over at Bravo just over the years. And so I think it just kind of was a kind of a great fusion of everything at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Also, part of this conversation that I've seen at least pop up just as it relates to pop culture and representation is, it shouldn't only be on Black talent to carry the burden of teaching these lessons and making and enacting change. And that was touched on a little bit in the special. And I'm curious if like how you feel that as the only Black co-host on your show, and just sort of like how you, as just generally as a public figure and somebody who does represent a lot of people, but I'd hope that those around you also want to carry that burden with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard for anybody to carry a burden of what you experience. But I do think that allyship is incredibly important, and not everybody feels that way. I have some friends who are Black who don't want any allyship, who are like, we're good. I'm going to fight this fight alone. But I truly believe that you need allyship. And I think it's important. And I think it's important for the people who love you and who see you struggling, even if it's just mentally, or emotionally.
For sure. And I talked to one of your co-stars, colleagues, Justin Sylvester, back in June. It was tied to Pride Month, but obviously a lot happened in June. And he mentioned that you both sort of just have like, you're in it together, but you both have different approaches to speaking out and
Yeah.
just like sharing your message. And I'm curious what you thought about that too, because I learned so much in June and throughout this summer.
Yeah.
And that was a really salient point for me.
Yeah, I think he's right. We both kind of have similar messages, but our approaches are very different.
Yeah,
And Justin is very, I am all for teaching, but I'm also for people doing their own research. I'm not about doing the legwork for everybody, because it's just too difficult, and I don't have the bandwidth for that. So I'm definitely about, listen. I'm like, if you can research all of these other things, you have the ability to do it when it comes to race relations, when it comes to politics, when it comes to anything. You have the ability to do it. It's not anyone's responsibility to handhold you through that. But I think we both try to be as open as we possibly can, into letting people know that we're available to have those types of discussions, because ultimately the goal is to do this together. The goal is to be in this fight together, and not be divided.
Totally. We're wrapping up, but I wanted to ask you your opinion on a couple kind of big celebrity topics these
Sure.
days. What did you think of the VMAs? They were last weekend. What did you think? Was there a highlight for you? Was there a low light for you? It was obviously all done remotely, so it was a very
Right.
unique show.
Remotely is hard. I'm used to the award shows. I really missed the fans. I really missed seeing people in the audience, seeing the celebs being fans in audience. So it was okay to me. I didn't love it. And now we look at things with paranoia. So in my mind, I'm like, did everybody get COVID tested? Because
Right.
Everybody took a picture in the same place. I hope everybody got tested and nobody touched anything. We look at it with the COVID brain.
Totally. It was like, wait, when were these red carpet pictures taken? Were they taken like 6 weeks ago? Like, I'm confused.
So I was just like, I hope somebody had the Lysol on deck. So it was a different experience. It wasn't as fun, in my opinion, but it's definitely still a great distraction.
Definitely. What do you think of Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas, their relationship?
I love him.
We do? Okay.
She got him turned out, honey. I think that's it for him. I don't know if that's it for her, but Ben, honey, and Ben is wearing little heart necklaces and walking down the street holding hands, and I never seen him whistle this tune. So I think she got him. I don't think he is going anywhere, baby. She is on every policy he has.
I love that. Okay, what do you think about all the celebrity pregnancies that have popped up during quarantine? I mean, Chrissy Teigen recently announced number 3. Morgan Stewart, your co-host, is pregnant.
Right.
There's a lot of celebrity pregnancies happening. What do you think?
I mean, I say, look, it's August, so this, we kind of knew this was coming. The quarantine started in March. People had a lot of time at home. That's how the boomers generation got started, because of the big blackout. So the big quarantine is going to have a lot of babies. That's going to spawn a whole different type of generation. I was surprised by Morgan, but I'm not surprised in general.
Totally. The Emmys are coming up. Do we think that they can improve upon what that VMAs did? It's obviously a totally different vibe usually. Yeah. What are we expecting from that? I think Jimmy Kimmel is hosting it.
What people think they might want to do, they have to redefine. So I think we're still trying to figure out what will happen with the Emmys. But, I will say the Emmys will be different, because it's like all of our favorite shows. That's going to be, we all are going to be thirsty for the Emmys, because we've been watching TV during quarantine.
So true.
This is going to be the payoff for a lot of us from all the binging we've done. So I think this will be way more interactive, and I think people will be extremely invested in it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay, last 2 topics. I know you're a Real Housewives girl, right? You're a Real Housewives person. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. What are the reunions happening soon? What do you think about the Denise versus everyone situation?
I do think Denise is lying. I like her. And it's just not anybody's business. But you're on a reality show, and there's so many receipts. And the one thing I know about Brandi Glanville is she's a lot of things. She's not really a liar. And so it's hard not to believe her.
Right.
They have to do what they have to do. Everybody's trying to secure their spots, because they taking peaches, they taking diamonds, they taking people's spots away. So people want to secure spots. So I get it, and it's great. But I do feel like with Beverly Hills, there's always just one big issue every season. Like last season, it was Puppy. This season it's Denise. So it's always somebody's turn. I wish they had more multiple issues. With Beverly Hills, it always seems like it's one issue.
Yeah, and then I think because of that, it results in sort of this like mob mentality, everyone against one person, and then you can't help but like kind of sympathize with that one person, regardless of if they're wrong.
Eventually, you start to feel bad, even if you feel like they're at fault. You feel like, it's incredibly hard to be that one person that everybody's coming for. It's not easy.
Totally. And lastly, there have been so many stories about all these TikTok stars that are throwing house parties and just kind of like running amok in LA. And I'm curious what your thoughts on that are, because we were talking about COVID brain just like 2 topics ago.
I think they are trash. Like, like you are putting your life, your neighbor's life, like a party is not that serious, and I'm joking when I name call, but I'm serious when I say that they are really putting people's lives at risk. And I get being so young that you just are kind of ignorant to that. But we've been in quarantine enough to know a party isn't that serious. I know we all get a little stir crazy, but just because you're over it doesn't mean that it's over. So, I just feel like, especially when you have such a big following, you do have a responsibility, because if, by God's grace, you don't get sick, all of these young people who follow you are going to be like, oh, well, they're fine, so I should have a party.
Exactly.
So I think, what they're doing, what the mayor's doing, and then, saying you will be fined, you could get in trouble legally. I hope it's a deterrent, because they have the money. So a fine doesn't affect them. It has to be something. Tell them you're going to take their TikTok away. I bet you they stop.
I can't. Nina, thank you so much. I think that's all the time we have, but it was great talking to you. Again, I'm loving all the stuff you're doing this summer. It's been really amazing to watch. And I know that you wouldn't tell us what you have next, but I know it's going to be something great. And
thank you.
Just good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Of course. All right. Bye, Nina.
Bye. Have a good one.
For more stories from In the Know, go to intheknow.com. You can also follow In the Know on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and find me, Gibson Johns, on Instagram and Twitter at Gibsonoma. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.